All right, hello everyone. My name is Tashina Anderson and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you have a minute, take some time, subscribe down below, like this video, and I would really love any kind of comments about what you would like to see next and if you enjoy the video. So let's get into the information because this video is all about answering your questions. Are leaders made or are they born? Have you ever thought of that? I know, like I've thought of it a lot. Like, am I meant to do something? And let's be clear, because I don't believe that when people say leader, like are leaders made or are they born? You know, what are they really talking about? Because we're all leaders, right? We all are leading in some kind of way, shape, or form. But I believe the word leader, really, when someone's making that comment, they're trying to ask themselves, am I meant to be successful in this area? Am I meant to, leadership is in front, right? Leadership, it means that you're being successful, you're in front, you're showing others how it should be done. And we can sometimes be really down on ourselves and believe that we're not maybe meant to be a leader in that role or in a venture or a business that we have started. So I want to address that. And one of the ways that I address anything is I love to make reference to movies. Have you guys watched movies lately? I know I have. Being home in quarantine, my family and I, we really have been able to catch up on a lot of movies. And one of the movies that I like and my kids like is Wonder Woman. Have you ever seen that one? I really like that movie. I have all boys in the house, so one girl, but it's definitely more testosterone in our house than it is estrogen. And so I get to watch a lot of superhero movies. And so this one is the one that I like to watch over and over again. And one of the things that I've noticed in any superhero movie, and you guys probably have noticed it as well, is that there's just like this point where, you get started and you see the person prior to, them saving the world. And you notice that, there's these things that they go through. And I want to kind of address some of those things, especially in this movie. And the first thing I want to address when it comes to realizing, were you born to be, are you born into leadership, or is this something that you develop along the way? So the first thing I want to talk about is I feel like, there's a time when you feel something deep inside, right? And this is how you can decide whether you were born into this or whether this is developmental, environmental. You feel it on the inside. And to me, when you start feeling things on the inside, and if you remember the movie, she was this little girl and it starts off with her being around her mom, her aunt, and they're all like these powerful women who are fighters and they're out there and they are, and she's watching them and she can see it. But this is, to me, a great example of sometimes things are the environment that you're in because she's watching them. But then at the same time, we all know that she's like, they tell you later in the movie, but we all know that she's part Zeus, right? She's part, even more than what some of the gladiator women are. She has these superhuman powers, right? And even though she doesn't know this yet because she was born this way, is her environment is playing a huge part. And I believe that, I experienced a lot of these things early on. If I take a look back to my success, I still remember in the beginning where, I didn't really realize what I feel like I had down deep inside. But at the same time, I could feel something. I wanted something. You ever just like want something? You can kind of see yourself in the nice house. You don't have it. You don't have the means to it yet, or maybe you have the means, but you don't know how it's going to happen. But you can see yourself driving a nice car. You could feel it on the inside. I was born to be rich. I was born to be successful, and I could feel it. I know where I'm going to travel. I could feel my toes in the sand. It's like this feeling you have on the inside of you were meant to be free. You were meant to have more. And even though when you look around, you don't see it, you know that it's there and it's meant for you. And this is how she was. She was in the beginning of the movie. She wasn't one of those gladiator women, but she could feel it. She said, please let me, mommy, please let me go out there and practice. Please, I'll be careful. I won't do this. I won't do that. She could feel that she wanted something, but she just didn't have the means at the time to get it. Now, then the next thing I really noticed, so that was part one, right? So the next thing was she started to like use her powers. In the movie, you started to see her progress, and she's using them. She's using them to fight people, right? So the first time she started to even notice that she had powers was she was fighting her aunt, and then by mistake, it just came out and she wound up, kind of hurting her a little bit. And then she decides to go off and venture, and this is us. This is us. We decide to start off as entrepreneurs. We feel like we want to be successful. We want to have a business. We want to make extra money. And then we go out there and we test the waters out, right? We start selling things. We start putting our brand out and who we are. And we start believing in who we are because we feel like, okay, here's the powers. We're starting to use them. And you always know when your powers are starting to work because you get results. And it doesn't have to be major results. It's just any kind of results. You sell something, you sell a product, you talk to someone, they come into business with you, you're starting to use it, right? And this was her. She was using her powers. Then I think the next thing that will tell you whether you were born to be a leader or you can be made into a leader. The next thing was that you always have to get tested, right? Think about every super hero that we've ever seen. They've been tested, right? It's like the evil enemy comes against them, and then before you know it, they're being tested. Their weakness is being shown. They have been thrown down. They've been beat up. And if you haven't been in entrepreneurship long enough, if you haven't experienced that, if you've never experienced a bad day or some bad times or some times where you thought things were working your way and then all of a sudden you realize, you know what, I might not be as super as I really think I am. This is when leadership is tested. It's always tested at some point in time. And usually it's not really right out of the gate. It's not right out of the gate. It's after you've had some success, after you have some wins and things are working for you. Usually is when the test starts to happen. And this is when you know whether you are developing into that leader, because leaders are it's never just like a smooth sail, right? If you've ever talked to anybody successful, we all know that there's hard times. There's times where you just don't even understand where this came from, or I didn't think it was going to hit me that hard. And trust me, I've definitely had my battles throughout the years, even within my business, within my personal life. There's been so many times where I've sat back and say, I didn't see it coming, or I didn't think it would happen to me. Not me. Oh Lord, not me. Right? And I've struggled. I remember my early years of being in the business and being married and thinking I had figured it out. I had figured out how to find the right person and have kids and live this American dream. And then all of a sudden things changed. And before you know it, I was going through a divorce. And I felt like in that time I had been hit with bricks. I was in my bed, I was upset, I was just frustrated that I had messed up my life, because I knew that I messed up my children's life. Not only just my life, I was more disappointed that I was messing up my children's life. And when you get to those points in life, sometimes you can be so down and bringing yourself down because you're upset with the results. So we have all of these inner battles, right? We have inner battles, outer battles. And this is what happened, and this is what happened in the movie. She is fighting crime and she's being this super Wonder Woman. And what happens? She finds her arch enemy and she's getting beat up. She's getting, thrown all over the place. And nobody ever wants a movie to end like that. And I want you to remember that. Like, not only does nobody ever want a movie to end like that, whoever wants their life to end like that? I remember there was this time in my business where I got into a point and I just really said to myself, like, I don't think I can go any further. I don't know if this is for me anymore. I don't know if I can win right here. And it was in that moment that I knew that you cannot let the story end like this. Like, put out of business. No great story ends with you giving up. What great story ends like that? It doesn't. So you have to figure things out. And this is when you really realize how good of a leader you really are. And do you have what it takes to take it to that next level? And I think the fourth thing that I really want to talk about is you get to show the world. This is how you know if you were, what your leadership ability is, where it's coming from. Because whether it's a part of you being born this way or because of your environment, it made you into this way. You're an entrepreneur now. You don't have a choice. You are in a situation where you can't figure out, you can't go into work, you can't make money. Now, this is like that time that you are going to figure out what you're made of. And who cares at this point whether you were born or whether this is making you out to be who you are meant to be in this moment. But what I can tell you is this: the fourth thing to know whether you were truly meant to be a leader is you're going to get to show the world what you're really made of. During this time is going to be a time where you're going to step your game up. Now think about it. At the end of every superhero movie, whether it's Wonder Woman or whatever it is, we got to see her at the end say, I don't care, it was Ares. She was fighting the god of war. And she got to show at the end, listen, I'm not, whether how much stronger you seem than I am, maybe you're a man and I'm a woman, and maybe that alone makes me feel defeated, or whatever the case may be. We got to see her at the end say, you know what? I am more powerful. I am going to use what I have, and I'm going to use it to fight against you. And at the end, what happens, like it always does? She won. She killed the enemy, and the story ends like it's supposed to end. And the only thing I want to say to you in this moment is that you have to show the world what you're made of. And who cares? You'll never know whether you were born or whether your circumstances made you into a leader. But do you really care? Because at the end, all you really want to do is you want to win. That's what we all want. We all want to just win. So I am telling you that you got to get up. You got to figure it out. You have to go to that next level. And what that's going to mean is you're going to have to get creative. You can't just sit there and then try a little bit and think that that's going to work. It never works. You can't try and then get defeated and say, all right, I'm done. It doesn't work. You can't do that either. These are the times to know when leaders are, whether they're made or whether they're born, whether they're going to show up, and whether you're going to show the world who you really are. So it's time, guys. I know we're quarantined. I know we're home, but let's get creative. Let's figure out new ways, new strategies to get business going, to get yourself going. Get up every day, get dressed. Know that, you know what you're showing right now is showing the world who you really are. Get up and get ready to win, because you really can. And so hopefully this message was good for you. I don't care whether you were born a leader or whether you were made because of your environment, because of your circumstances. At the end of the day, what is most important is that you show us what you're made of, that you win during these times, and that you go above and beyond to make sure that other people know who you are, and that you are not going to lie down and just wait for the world to open back up, but you are going to get creative and you are going to make some things happen. I am Tashina Anderson. Hopefully you'll come back to my channel for more inspiration, more how-to videos, more videos on finance, because it is my job and my duty to make sure that I put out what I know to the world. And this is one way that I can do that. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Share this video with someone else. And let's remember, guys, whether you were born like this or whether your circumstances and the environment that we find ourselves in has put you into a position, you do not just lay down and give up. This is the time to get creative and really show the world what you're made of. Thank you.